Hey everybody, welcome to Making Sense of It All with Jesse Stakes and Wes Altus. As part of our Professional at Anything But Golf series, I am very pleased to welcome back Jason Hiland of Sub70 Golf. Jason, thank you so much for joining us.
No worries. Thanks for having me on. Looking forward to having, was this our second conversation, right?
Absolutely. No, I enjoyed the first one. I know we talked a lot about your business and we talked a lot about the brand. This time we're
Yeah.
going to talk about the golfers that you serve and the folks that are in that, that professional market, those guys that do something else besides play golf for a living, those guys that are probably the core of your market, I'm assuming, and
Yeah.
the core of my audience. So I'm excited to have this conversation.
Well, looking forward to it as well. Fire away at me and let's see if I can hopefully, answer all your questions. So it'll be fun.
So first question that I got, I totally forgot to ask you last time. Where did you get the Sub70 logo from? What was the, kind of the inspiration behind it? Because it's super cool looking.
Yeah, I wish I could say I was smart enough to invent it. So it started off as a European clothing brand, and I knew the guys who started it.
Okay.
And they brought it to the States, and it didn't do very well. The clothes were cool, but they were like very Euro. Like this is back in like the JL heyday stuff, right?
Yeah. You haven't looked at
So
my closet yet, so be careful. No, I'm kidding.
yeah, but I mean, like it was Euroed out. Like, I'm 6'1", 190 pounds, and I had to wear like a double XL, right? So it
Right.
didn't like work real great for the American market fit wise. But I always thought the logo was just fantastic and the name was fantastic. So when we were kicking around this idea of a boutique, high-end, custom-made, but direct-to-consumer brand, we kept going back to that logo. And then we ended up doing is working out a deal at first to just essentially pay them a royalty. Then we eventually bought it.
Nice.
But it was always a logo I loved, and I wore the clothes way back in the day. And it just, as we kept trying to find names, like that logo just spoke to us. Like that would look really good on a golf club. So I did not invent that one. But
I would
hey, I
have
was smart enough to like be like, that's a good logo, great logo.
I would have never guessed that. That would have been like that's the furthest thing from my mind. That would have been the origin story there.
That's how it happened.
So do you guys have any updates? I wanted to give you kind of I mean, like I know because I follow you on Instagram. I see a lot of the stuff you guys throw out there. You guys got some really cool product coming out next year, and we can kind of talk about
Yeah.
that later. But is there any updates you guys have as a company?
I mean, just this year before the end of the year, the new 859 driver will be in stock, and we got our first patent on the face. That it's the biggest upgrade, I would say, or from like, we don't do product life cycles. We only kind of do it when we think it's a better product. It's the
Right.
biggest jump we've ever had from one version to the next. It's the guys, we got guys on tour playing it that, we're not paying. There's something there with this thing. It's really good. I'm excited about it. That and the new TA3 combo sets with the forged iron that Tommy worked on with us of doing a CB and an MB.
Nice.
As the modern golf ball is just spinning a little less and not getting up quite as easy. We wanted to add a CB to that mix so guys can mix and match how they want it. And testing of that's been great. Tommy is so good, at kind of taking the DNA of the first one and transitioning that to a CB and making it work, for the better player. I mean, it's the CB, a 10 handicap could still play it, but it's a player's cavity and the blade, and you can kind of mix and match to make, your perfect set per se. And next year, new hybrid fairway, 669 forged irons replacing 659, new putter line where the essentially it's almost like an adapter where the hosels can be changed in and out from the face. It's going to be called the Elbrun series. It's kind of cool.
Okay.
Gosh, what else do we? I mean, there's the new 669 V3 forged, both in the pro and standard. First time we're doing a forged face on it because it actually makes sense to do it with the new tech of what we're doing to make the face thinner and go further, yet still have control in the pro version of that. So there's so much new stuff coming. The whole line's essentially turning.
It's really cool. Anything, I mean, I'm just curious, the R&D that has to go into that, because I mean, you guys are busy, you guys are cranking out product all the time. I mean, that's, can you let our audience in a little bit on what that looks like behind the scenes? I mean, like, are you guys constantly developing new
Yeah.
stuff? Is it constantly trial and error or?
Yes, the day we're already working on the next version of the driver. The day the other one is done, you start going, okay, let's look at, and we brought in Bob Renniger, who used to be one of the head designers at Titleist to help us with this project
Mhm.
on the driver. Yes, like you're never, it's always, where is it going? You're working with the factory, is there any new materials? And we'll start prototyping next spring already on all of the new stuff. We're going to have the same DNA that's in this phase where we have our new patent because we really believe there's a foundation there that club plays better. So we
Right.
kind of got a foundation to work off of, but you will refine, you'll listen to customer feedback, but it's a never ending process of tinkering, asking what's out there, how do we do this better? And then on top of having the customer feedback, which we get in the direct to consumer market, right? We're talking to the users. So then you start taking what they factor into it, and we'll run stuff maybe 2 to 3 years again. So we've got some time, but we've been working on this driver project for probably 3 years, from the concept to prototyping to robot testing to all of it, right? So it never stops. It
Right.
just doesn't.
Yeah.
It's constant. We're bringing in bigger teams to do stuff and working with guys in the industry because the goal is, we're trying to make the best products we possibly can. It doesn't matter if it's the direct to consumer market or the traditional market. We want the products to be as good as we can make them.
No
So
doubt.
it doesn't stop, which is the fun part of it, right? Like I get to play with, cool shit all the time, and you're gonna have some failures and some stuff that works, and but like that's the fun of it, right? When I get to tell my wife, "Hey, I got to go to the golf course to actually do some, product testing and really air quotes work," right? I mean, how many guys can say they go to the golf course and they're actually getting work done? So
I don't know. You and
That's
Wes can. I tell my wife that,
yeah.
and I
Yeah.
get the bullshit flag on me immediately.
yeah, yeah, I'm working. I'm working.
I
I'm always
with the,
prototyping.
yeah, Jason, with the obviously we've got this ball rollback coming up. How is that kind of looking on your how you're starting to design clubs? Are you guys starting to think about that, or what does that look
Yeah, I
like?
mean, we're gonna have to start because when would that be into effect? Like 2030?
Something like that, yeah.
Ish. Yeah, and then you got to start looking at center of gravities and how much more is the ball spinning. I haven't had a prototype, you can kind of imagine what it would look like,
Yeah.
right? Because the ball is going to be spinning more. If you kind of take what a golf ball from 2001 and 2, it's probably going to be kind of something like that, realistically.
Yeah, I
Um,
think you're right.
so it would, yeah, if it spins more, you don't have to have the center of gravity as low, there'll be as low, there'll be things that you're kind of will be looking at because we're designing clubs now of how the golf ball has even changed since the last generation of products,
Yeah.
right? We're getting touring pros calling us and saying, "Hey, this is an extreme example, but I need a forehand with a low center of gravity." And that's why you're seeing the advent of 7 woods and 4 woods with more loft. Like the modern ball just doesn't spin. So yes, the ball, if that change happens, and then, well, then the tricky part of that's going to be, let's assume Liv doesn't take the ball. Does the
Yeah.
PGA Tour now go, well, we don't want to see 280-yard drives, or, we want to put on a horse and pony show because they weren't real thrilled with what happened with the belly putter and how many of their players couldn't adapt.
Yeah.
So we have to have a wait and see a little bit because all of a sudden now is that the first time where there's a line in the sand where people may not follow exactly what the USGA wants, and that could still affect how the equipment is designed because the golf ball has to be a factor into it, to answer your question. So we would, if everyone goes that way, we would adjust, but to be seen of what's PJ Tour say on this avenue.
Yeah. I mean, I think with the consumer, you guys are kind of dealing with a two-headed monster here. If you're going to keep, the tour players happy, you have to design one club for that ball, and then all these guys that are don't want to switch, that are amateurs, kind of like our demographic, they're going to be like, screw that. I don't want to lose 10 to 15 yards. And now you've got another set of equipment you got to work with. So I think this rollback has so much more layers to it that
100%. Like, how do we then
I don't know what the
market?
USGA. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
How do I say, hey, because like Daly is playing our new 859 driver, right? Well,
Yep.
then, okay, well, Daly's playing the driver. Sure, I could make a one-off mold change for him to adjust for the ball. Hey, is my driver the same as Daly's? No, you
Hmm.
got the hot one now that's meant for the other ball. Not hot, but you know what I'm getting at, right? And
Right.
so now, as a company, it's really hard to make products because the part of the marketing that works in golf is on this driver we're doing, yes, it'll be an 8-degree driver, and yes, it's set up for JD, and we're partnering up on it. You get to play the same iron as Tommy plays, right? Like literally,
Yeah.
Tommy plays the same. You'd be able to play the same driver as JD's going to play next year, and
Yep.
now all of a sudden, well, you can't. So how do I tell that story is easy? There's so many down the road problems with this
Yeah. I've when they announced it, my first thing went to the manufacturers, and
Yeah, it's a
like you said, like someone's gonna, want to try a driver that they see Rory McIlroy hitting. Like, I'm sorry, it's just going to happen. Then, or Scotty Scheffler, or whoever, they're gonna want to try that driver, knowing that that driver is really not even available to them. What are we doing?
well, yeah, and then the golf ball would have to be different. So then, does how much we don't make golf balls? I'm not going to get in that line of work, right? But how much money does Titleist or Bridgestone spend on a ball that no consumer wants to buy? Would be my guess. I mean, I mean, like I'm 51. I hit it like 270. I don't want to go back to 254. Like
No.
I'm not overpowering anything, right? Like a 6,500 yard golf course or 66 or 60 is perfect for me.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't. I don't want to go back to a spinny seven. I like golf's hard enough, right? I mean, I work like 70 hours a week. I don't want to torture myself.
Yeah.
So I think I don't want a different golf ball. I mean, to me, it's almost like if you're going to have a bifurcation, it has to be like Major League Baseball, where you can't give those guys aluminum bats.
Yep.
Yep.
But then there's the problem. They're going to get sued too, potentially, because now if they did that, how does those major manufacturers, us included, have pros play the clubs? That does,
You
it's a,
won't.
It's a logo at that point. Like as
Yes.
yeah.
far as like, I mean, that's the hard part about it is because when you like even when you talk about baseball, kids still use aluminum bats. They use, I mean, or whatever they're made out of today. I mean, it's some sort of
Yeah,
composite metal,
composite. Yep.
but
Mhm.
but you've got professionals that have been using, either white ash or hickory or something else, maple for years now, and it's like since the beginning of the game, and it's like what they did in baseball was they made it easier for the amateur, and they also said, hey, we can't provide that much wood, easier for the amateurs, and make it cost effective so you're not breaking bats left and right either.
Yeah, it's kind of like professional bowling, right? If you go to your bowling has the balls are so good,
Right.
and if you go to your local league and lane, they make it pretty easy to hit a hook in there, and they make it user friendly and trying to help bowlers, bowl a 180 or 200 and something. I know some friends that are out there, right? You go on their patterns, good luck, right? So they make it different. This is where I think golf, for most people, this is where I think the USGA loses it. Golf for most people, just go to like a good club and watch how many people really can't even break 85. Guys who play
Right.
all
Oh God.
or
Yeah.
90, right? If you really added them all up, right? Like it is hard. So to make this game that's already can be very frustrating, very hard to learn, very time consuming, harder, I
Yeah.
don't quite get it. And yeah, there might be some golf courses you can't use anymore, but in the same token, I don't want to go out and I still love watching touring pros. I don't want to watch them hit it 300 yards. Guys at my club can do that. I want to see a guy go out to the John Deere Classic, or my friends on the Live event, go out and watch them play and hit shots I can't even fathom.
Right.
Yep.
Right? I want to see shit I can't even see at home, dream about doing, or right. So
That's the point.
That's
now if
It's
these
it's
guys,
professional
that's
professional
the
sports.
point.
entertainment.
It's
At
It's
professional sports at its core right there.
right.
Well,
Like
and deeper than that, it's professional entertainment. Like, I mean,
Hmm.
they're competing for our dollars. For
Yep.
me to go out and watch that instead of going to Disney, instead of going to watch football,
yeah,
instead of going to do anything else, you're asking me to pay money to go watch you. I want to see something really cool.
Yeah.
I want to see my friends when the live event was at Rich Harvest shoot rounds that I and my buddies who have played that golf course a bunch of times go out there and go, I can't imagine.
Yep.
That
Yeah.
shit's cool. I want to
Agreed.
see Henrik do shit I can't do. Or even
Hmm.
my
Yes.
buddies who are really good players can't do, and we all giggle and go, holy shit, he just carried that corner. Like, I can't, how does he do that? I don't want to see
Right.
Hmm.
ball carrying 282 yards in the air. I can see that at Kish Country Club.
Yes. Yep.
Well,
That's just my opinion. That's just my opinion. I want to see the greatest athletes, the best guys do shit I can't fathom.
I don't know if
Yes.
it's not just your opinion either. I mean, you've got the National Golf Foundation, you've got every pro in America. Everybody's trying to figure out how can we keep or bring people to the game and keep them. You don't do that
Hmm.
by making the game harder. That's just, I mean, it
No.
doesn't work.
No, and the same thing was the belly putter disaster. You know how many of my buddies at the club just, I guess they kind of found a way around it. But I mean, come on, just let them anchor the damn thing in their belly. My buddy's gonna shoot 78 anyway. What difference does it make? And that's why I think the PGA of America was against that, right? And some of the guys'
Yes.
careers were ruined, right? I
Yeah.
mean,
Took a while
Tim
for a
Clark,
lot of those guys. Yeah.
uh,
Yeah.
Carl Peterson,
Yep.
Keegan for a long time, right? I mean, his
Keegan
putting was
definitely struggled.
brutal.
Yeah. No.
And those guys had that wand the whole time, and you pull it from them. Like I don't know. Like it just seemed if if that's the biggest problem you have, you're petrified someone's gonna, God forbid, make more eight. And the only thing I would argue, guys, on that one, right? How many of those guys were like Tim Clark was a great putter, but your buddy at the club, they basically went to
Right.
that as a last resort, and maybe with a belly
Yes.
putter, they were adequate. They weren't
Mhm.
great with it.
No one turned
My
into a world-class putter because they were using a belly putter. And if they did, if it was that big of a cheat code, don't you think more guys on tour would have been in that thing? You didn't
Tiger
see it.
Woods would have switched over immediately and
Yeah.
made even more. The best players in the world never did it. They won't.
Yep.
So it made them adequate. And especially for
Hmm.
the amateurs, it made them adequate and not shaking over 8 footers, which once again got them out to the golf course to let them enjoy it more.
right.
Yep.
Whole
Yeah.
point. That's what it's supposed to be. It's
Whole
supposed to be
point.
fun.
My whole question during every time they've done anything like this is, what are you trying to protect? Like, what's your goal here?
Their
Because
goal is to protect Marion so you can have an U.S. Open out there.
I mean,
That's what they're protecting.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. You can
That
still
seems
guess.
have it
insane.
out there. These guys still have to hit the shots. So okay, they can't use driver. So, I mean, I think what happened is Bryson freaked him out at Wingfoot.
Yeah, but that's pretty soon though. I mean, if you make I always had the argument of, in that President's Cup when they went down to Australia and played Royal Melbourne and angles and fast and firm, and these guys were hitting wedge shots from 100 yards going, holy shit, what do I do with this thing?
There you
So
go.
you can combat it with some rough and angles and fast and firm, and even the best players out of position are up it. That will make people play less aggressive and you'd have no chance, right? I mean, that was the wildest thing in that first hole. I remember them having 80-yard
Oh
wedge
God.
shots and going,
Yeah.
I'm dead on that angle on the right. So there's other
Yeah.
things you can do, but this is about 0.0000001% of the guys who are that good versus, me.
Yeah.
Right.
Which this golf ball, the longer ball and the easier equipment does not affect it. It makes it more enjoyable in my 50s. I can still play good. That's all. I don't get it.
Much less your 60s and 70s, like the people who are in
Yeah.
their 60s and 70s.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, can you imagine an old dude who hits it 200 yards off the tee with this new ball, losing 10 yards for that guy? I know doesn't sound like much. He's going to lose 8 yards. 10 yards is 2 clubs for that poor bastard.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It makes the game less fun, less entertaining.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. And I think sometimes these guys forget at some level they're not much different than Dean Martin with a fake whiskey glass on stage, singing songs and acting like he's lit, entertaining people, right? This is still, to your point, entertainment.
Yeah.
And I love it when guys go low and do stuff I can't fathom. To me, it's still cool.
Absolutely. I thought it was really cool. I was actually out at the Furyk and Friends last week, and I was following Daly for a while, and it was pretty cool to see your clubs in his bag.
Yeah, it's an honor. Like I've gotten to know him, and it's impossible to not love the guy. Like he is genuinely one of the kindest, nicest people you'll ever meet. I've got to know Lance's caddy really well. He's just a great dude. He's just a good old Southern boy, and he's been so kind to us. He doesn't need to do what he's done to support us. I know he likes the equipment, but he's been like phenomenal, and I've gotten to be friends with him, and he's a really, really good dude. Genuinely, really, really good dude.
That's
awesome.
He had me looking for good boys around Jacksonville, Florida. I was looking for what stores carried them last week. So
Yeah, he's got priorities. Have you guys had those yet? They're actually good. They're
I
like
got some last week.
What'd you think?
Fantastic. The tea.
They're-
I'll tell you, the tea version, I'm not a big seltzer guy, but the teas are
Yeah.
amazing.
Aren't they
That's
good
going to
for
be
the
a
summer? If it's
problem for
warm,
me.
those things are tasty. Yeah.
Amen.
Yeah.
That's going to be a problem.
They really are good though. Like our club this year, when I started working with John, I asked our club, Kishwaukee Country Club, to call, hey, can you do me a solid? Just put them out there, right? JD would
Yeah.
like it. And then I'm telling you guys are going to like these things. We sold a ton of them at the club. Like they're continuing to carry it. We had a sign of JD at the club, by the bar, and they sold well, and people like it. It's a really good product. And I'm not just saying that because I'm friends
No,
with
it's
JD.
good.
Like they're
Yeah.
good, and they're like
I can
90
give-
calories.
I can give a complete testimonial for it. They're fantastic. They have no sugar in them. They taste
Right.
great. It's perfect.
Yes, agreed. Well, I'm glad you found some down there, but he's got that part figured out.
Yes, he does. Well, I'll tell you, that's one of the coolest parts about like seeing him, and then also kind of having an experience with you guys and knowing what your customer service looks like. One of the most fantastic things about Sub70 to me is that me as a customer picking up the phone and calling you guys or shooting you an email or saying, "Hey, here's what I think I need." I'm getting, what I would consider the same treatment that somebody like John Daly would, to a level. I'm sure that there's certain things that he gets that we don't, but at the same time, the fact that I can pick my phone up and call you, it's pretty amazing, and I don't get that from the larger manufacturers. And you guys make fantastic equipment.
Well, I like talking to the customers, right? Like it's fun. So yeah, I mean, my number's out all over the place. I mean, I don't hide it or anything. And if somebody needs help, I'm glad to help them. And if there's some stuff that our customer service department can handle, I might route them over there. But like, I answer tech questions all the time. Like I take all kinds of calls still, where somebody calls and it's like thinking of this with this was, what do you think? Because I've got so much experience fitting people in person and over the phone. It's kind of like a database in my head. You almost get a sixth sense of which direction to help somebody with that. I like doing it and I'm pretty good at doing it. So I get calls and people are awesome. Like it does give me faith in humanity that, like you see a lot of negative stuff in the press about, I don't know, the world or whatever. And my experience is like 99.9% of the people are like really good people. Like I have
Yeah.
once a year of dealing with a crazy person, honestly. Like every other day is pretty much like I get really cool, fun people to talk to and I enjoy it. Like I truly enjoy meeting, talking to, if somebody recognized me in an airport, having a conversation. Like I enjoy meeting our clients and customers and talking to people. And we get great ideas for feedback and product development. Truly. Like those guys will tell you how we're doing. Are we doing good, bad,
Yeah,
Hmm.
or what needs to be changed? And if you see enough of a pattern, we take their feedback and put it into products. 100%.
that's awesome. So when I somebody who's somebody like me, somebody who's that 30 to 60-year-old professional that has jumped into the game of golf, and you're looking at it and you're saying, okay, where do I start? How do I get fit? How do I start putting my bag together? When somebody comes to you with that question, where do you point them? What do you do with them?
So my first question would be, how serious are you going to take this? Are you going to be, if you're 40, let's just say, are you going to be taking lessons? And I'm already starting to factor these things in my head because if they take lessons from a good pro, they're going to get better quicker. Then we're going to hedge the bet a little bit more, and if they have no idea, I'm going to say, go get fit locally. It's like doctor's notes. And
Yeah.
it can be with another manufacturer's head because we all use the same shafts from the suppliers. We all use the same grips. Length is length, lie is lie. And like every other major company, we have clubs built for that are ultra game improvement all the way to tour blades. So if someone gets a baseline of an idea of what's going on, then I can ask enough questions to figure out where they're trying to go. Because what we might do on a guy like that is going to take some lessons is maybe hedge the bet to make the shaft a little bit stiffer, knowing they're going to get a little faster and a little bit better. Because I don't want them to come back 6 months later or a year later and buy a new set of clubs. So
Hmm.
you just start asking questions and then listening, and then you start formulating a game plan. But a lot of times too, we'll just tell people go to your local store, get fit, send us the info. Now at least I have a basis to go off, and it's sort of like doctor's notes. I can
Yeah.
read and understand what they're trying to do.
Do you think that getting fit properly can help somebody become a better golfer just from playing the right equipment? Like, do you think that there's a like that I can actually have a significant impact?
Yes,
If
but
they're
from our brand or any other brand, if you are always better off to go because there's so many variables that especially a beginning golfer doesn't might not know. It's not their fault.
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
imagine if you're taller, for example, didn't get longer clubs, you got big hands, small hands. You can adjust lie angles to kind of, as you guys know, like the hedge. If a guy slices more, then you just adjust the lie angle. You might bend him a little bit more upright if a guy really struggles with a fade. And then as he
Yep.
progresses, the local pro, after we send you the clubs, can go from two up maybe to one up as the swing gets better down to standard lie. There's all kinds of little tricks we can do to help people. So
Hmm.
yes, it's extremely important. It makes the learning curve faster. I can grab
Yeah.
my wife's golf clubs and make it work, but it's
Sure.
harder. So, and it's not just from Sub70. That's a question. That's something that from no matter what brand of golf, clubs you like, and I would argue every big manufacturer is doing a good job anymore. There's no bad clubs anymore. But yes, go get fit. Go get fit.
Hmm.
And the fittings can correlate between different brands. It's sort of like you get a fitting and they tell you need a luxury four-door car. Okay, well, do you want the Mercedes, the Jaguar, the Infinity, right? It's just styling and somewhat of what brand you like more. Hopefully, our niches, we're direct to consumer, so we can save custom make it for you and save you a few
Right.
bucks to not two people making money on it. But all the major brands do a really good job anymore. There's no more bad equipment, and getting fit's important.
Yeah. Yeah, we see it all the time with new students or people who are just like, hey, I haven't picked up my clubs in 15, 20 years, and they bring in 15 to 20-year-old clubs. And you're like, oh boy, like you don't swing these the same because you're 20 years older. So it's so important for someone to get fit just for flex and the weight of it. I mean, and even the grips. I think people overlook the grips so much, especially on older equipment. I've held some and it's like holding a pencil in your hand. You're like, there's no
Yeah.
shot. There's no shot you can control this club right now.
No, and then they come in with a dynamic old school S300. They're swinging a 7-iron at 77 miles an hour, and they said, "Well, my uncle said these were expensive in their day." It's like it was a great club in its day, but
Yeah.
we need like a 95-gram steel shaft and a reg to help kick it up in the air a little bit more, as an example. Well, a lot of those old clubs are short, heavy with skinny old grips, like right. And yes, you can play with it,
Hmm.
but it's way the hell harder. No hybrids,
No, nothing.
trying to hit a full
Nothing.
iron with a modern ball. Yes, there's so
Yeah.
many tricks we can help people with to make that learning curve easier.
Yeah. And I think just note here on clubs that are that old, they were built with a specific type of ball in mind. Like we're talking like
Spun.
tour professionals, even balladas on some of these. It's
Yeah.
like those things spun out of their mind. So they had
Yes.
different equipment. Now, like you've said earlier, the ball doesn't really spin all that much. So the equipment's changed and shafts has changed. And, you get as light as you can, but you can still control it. It's kind of the thing for the amateur golfer right now.
100%. 7 woods. Yeah, you're gonna see 9 woods getting more popular. If you put your ego aside. I mean,
I have
I
a
love
seven
my.
wood.
I do too. I love it.
Yeah.
I'm way better with it. Even I'm better with that than a 3 hybrid, just because I can hit it higher.
Yeah.
Right. For me, it works great. Like 210,
Mhm.
215 out, I can just carve a little 7 wood in there. Like, why am I fighting that battle?
Yeah.
It's so effective
Exactly.
with some of these kind of, let's call it a higher lofted fairway wood or a 5 hybrid for most people. Look like Freddie Couples bag. He's
Yeah.
got it right. Like he's got a 6 hybrid. It's great.
Yeah.
Like it's just, and he still swings it faster than the average guy in
No,
his mid
100%.
60s. And if he's using stuff like that, look at LPGA tour players, which are much more relatable to an average male golfer.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Look how many head covers you see in the bag, right?
Yep.
I was gonna say I don't have a 7 wood because I hit my 5 wood as long as you guys hit your 7 woods.
Wait till the 9 wood goes in, and you're gonna. I'm thinking next year I'm gonna switch over to a 9 wood from like a 4 hybrid, just because I can hit them higher. I think I'm gonna go to. We're developing one, and it's so far the testing's good. I can see it putting in the bag of just 190 yards up in the air with a nice high soft fade or draw. Like it's just so easy to hit.
My
Yeah.
my
And I
dad
mean,
my dad played a bag full of woods. Like when he first started playing golf, he couldn't hit irons for nothing. And there was a guy or a place called a Master Fit golf place here in Jacksonville, Florida, where he ended up with a bag of he had like a 20 wood or a 21 wood. I was
Yeah.
like, and
yeah.
he hit him great.
Well, imagine you don't have to like the hard part for people, when they start off playing, and you guys can attest to this, is you want to help the ball up, which is naturally, right? Which you're not
Hmm.
supposed to, right? You're supposed to get the left wrist
Correct.
down and through. If you have a little fairway wood, you can kind of sweep it, sort of flip at it, and it doesn't
Hmm.
have the disastrous effect that a 7-iron does if you can't compress
Yes.
it and hit down. So you'll see a lot of senior golfers or women golfers or people with slower club head speeds using 8 hybrids, 7 hybrids, right? And maybe the last iron's like a 9 and a pitching wedge. It's not the worst idea if you don't have the speed or the strength to, be able to rotate the body, de-loft the club and take a proper divot. A bag full of woods kind of makes that learning curve easier.
No,
Yep.
I like it.
Loft
And
is their friend.
Correct. Yep. And it's just
that
less
and
technical.
I
Yeah.
think when you got people that are either, they've lived through injuries or they're just older, like you said, they can't rotate as well. There's all kinds of reasons but the more normalized it gets, the more you see Dustin Johnson or somebody carrying a 7 wood or somebody putting
Yeah,
a 9 wood in the bag, and they feel like they don't feel so self-conscious about it. Then, I mean, it makes the game easier. It makes it more fun.
100%. Use the technology. Golf is hard enough. That's what I always tell
Mhm.
people, right? And I always tell male golfers as well. I hit the ball about as far as a mid to short length LPGA player at like 270 off the tee. Look how many head covers they have. I mean, just being
Yeah.
realistic, right? That's my game.
Yep.
And my bag should not be set up like Rory McIlroy's, right? Our games are a mile apart of how he plays and how I play. And the
Right.
Yep.
equipment should reflect that.
Exactly.
So when we talk about people getting fit, I know you said they can go get their numbers anywhere. They can send them to you. Like
Hmm.
one of the questions that I had when I was thinking about it myself is like, there's some days where I feel super tight because I've been sitting at a desk. There's some days where it's a Saturday. I get out of bed, I've stretched, I've prepared to go play golf, and I'm a totally, I start the round totally different than what I would on a weekday after work. Do you recommend that people have multiple sessions to where before they buy a set of clubs, do you think that they should go out and look at things from, different parts of their life, like as far as hit balls at different times to kind of see what those averages are, or should it be at their best, at their worst? What are your thoughts
And
there?
we would always suggest, like, especially like just say us in the Midwest here, right?
Yeah.
If you're going to go get fit, if you do it, I'm thinking like January 19th, you got to go get some reps in locally indoors. If you haven't played in a month and a half and you go get fit, probably not the
Yeah.
best idea.
True.
Mhm.
So, there's so many indoor places. At least go do some range work a couple weeks ahead of time to get the golf muscle, because there's golf shape. You guys you're in Florida, so you don't know as much, but like I can tell start of the year, depending on how much time I have to work at it, my club head speed's down than it will be in
Mhm.
from the summer. And I work out a lot from lifting weights and that stuff, try to stay in shape, but there's golf shape too. So it
Mhm.
takes
Right.
a little bit to get into it. So if somebody's just going in cold and haven't touched a club in 3 months, don't suggest that. At least get some work in, get some reps in, go play some simulator golf, get some practice in so you're not coming in, hey, I haven't touched a club in 3 months because your swing speed will be slightly off. It'll be, and now we'll calculate for that, right? If some guy told me I haven't played club, golf in 3 months, I'm going to put 3 or 4 miles an hour more on his irons and maybe 5 on his driver, four
Sure.
somewhere in there. I'd hedge for it, but it's always better
Yeah.
to get some work in. You kind of want to get your fit when you're swinging pretty well. If someone's really struggling and they come in, that's not the best either. I always like to get guys when they're like, "Show me what you got." Like you're swinging pretty good at it, because you don't base the golf swing on their worst swing. You can do it on their tendency, right? This guy has a tendency to go left or right, or this is the miss, so we're going to hedge for it. But you don't want to have someone playing like hell in a handbasket then go get fit. I
Yeah.
don't think.
No, it makes sense. I think less about like especially like you said, we're down here in Florida, so it's really kind of a year-round thing for us. But I know that there are days where I roll out of my desk and my hips are tight and I feel like, to your point, probably swinging 5 miles an hour slower than the same week, but at the same time, everything seems a little bit more difficult on those days than it does on the days where you
Yeah.
actually have
So
time to get loose and stretch.
if you came to me and I asked you how you feeling today, if you're saying you're tight, and then we would factor that in, and especially
Hmm.
you'd probably see the numbers and go, "Wow, my 7 iron usually goes 5 yards farther," and that would be a question I would always ask them, like, "How you feeling?" Or is that kind of normally how you hit it, right? And
Hmm.
what do and then just listen. And if I got that feedback from you, then I would just hedge that in that, you know, we've
Yeah.
all got some dings, and we're not all 23 anymore and limber as much as we used to be, so as you get a little bit older, you're going to have some days where you're stiff and sore. If you worked out a bunch, right? That 3 days of working out, my body's pretty tired. That's
Yeah.
not going to be a
Mhm.
great day to go get fit. Give a couple days off so your muscles kind of bounce back and you're feeling a little bit more spring in them. So we always try to get people where they're like, I'm in a perfect world, be like, yeah, I'm hitting it pretty good.
Yeah.
Because, that gives me the best look of what their potential can be.
What about putter fitting? As far as I know, that there's a whole lot of stuff going around right now with whether it's like lie angle balance putters that are kind of becoming the in thing. Um, People have talked about stroke path being able, like people fitting to stroke path. What are your thoughts on putter fittings and what people should play, or is it, or is there anything, is there such thing as should? Is it just more preference?
Yeah, with the zero torque putters, I think there is something to that. These other companies are starting to come out with it. It's getting a little bit more mainstream. I still think you have to have a putter that you like the look of, but you can
Hmm.
always adjust for loft and lie angle. I think is very important, right? Because it depends. You got to get the ball rolling right. So we can always most of our putters we can bend. And if you come to like the 70, our pro can work with you to get lie angle right and loft. I still like a putter that has some closure rate, but I've got a stroke that if I'm putting well for me, it kind of has some closure. So I still want to have a little toe hang. And to me, it feels like it releases a little bit more. I'm a little less straight back, straight through. A lot of guys who do have straight back, straight through like the look of a center shafted putter. I don't know if it's
Hmm.
just and usually that guy kind of wants a heel balance or heel toe balance sort of putter too, where there's some MOI to it, where putter wants to stay straight. But you still got to look down at it and say, I like the look of it and feel confident with it. But especially loft and lie is pretty in length, right? Loft length, grip size. I'd factor those things into your putter when you're getting fit. I still want my putter to close a little bit, and
Right.
and that feeling of that toe as it is opening and closing. I want to feel that closure, like I'm releasing the putter a little bit when I'm letting it go and stroking it well.
Fair. Wes, I don't want to eat up all Jason's time. You got anything for him?
No,
I'm
I
good.
think I think I kind of took up a bunch of time and threw out the old ball rollback thing. I got
Yeah,
some
it's a fun
juice on
topic,
that one.
man.
No, it's really good stuff. I love how you guys are, direct to consumer and, looking at your stuff. It's solid looking. I love it. Love the look of it. Was it the TCs that you guys just brought out?
Yeah, that's a club I've been playing the last year and a half, where that new version of the TC will be more player oriented. So we're kind of
Hmm.
switching around our 669 Forge. The blade will be the blade. The TC is definitely more uh, toe weighted, anti left. It's got a cavity, but it's more playerish than the current one. It's still compact like that one, but the weighting is a little less neutral, a little bit more fade biased. I love the club. I don't want to miss left.
Yeah.
That's in my bag. And then our CB now will be more game improvement oriented, kind of for the guy who's a 13, 14, 15 who want the feel of a soft one piece forged club. That normally there has not been a club in our line for that type of handicap. The guy who might play like our 699 two piece iron, if they want a
Hmm.
softer feel, then the TA3 CB now jumps in that tweener spot between the CB 669 and that TC. So the one that TA3 or Tommy Armour the third developed is neutral weighting, a little bit of offset to it because Tommy wants to hit a draw, but there's still flight control workability in there with some forgiveness. So that kind of is slotted into that kind of tweener spot, and our new CB will be, for a 15 handicap who loves and wants that soft feel of a one-piece forged head with a little bit more of a draw bias sort of weighting system to it to kind of make it a little bit anti-right, but still give you that soft, feel that we have with our DT4 steel irons where it feels like butter. So we kind
Yeah.
of split them up a little farther from each other and then put the TA3CB kind of in that mix to kind of fill that void.
Yeah, that segment of, the 15 handicapper that thinks they're a tour player, so they want to look at something real nice and pretty down there. There's not a lot of options out there with some manufacturers. They like the little more compact head, but it has the performance benefits where they do hit it off. They are not losing 10 to 12 yards, they're losing maybe, 5 to 7.
Yeah, we tungsten weighted it to make it draw bias. That the profile's bigger. There's some more offset into it, but it's still going to feel buttery and soft, right? So we
Hmm.
kind of made that as an option for a little bit of our higher handicap player who still wants that. There's in the hollow body clubs they're getting better and better, but there's still something pure about a one piece soft carbon steel
Yep.
forged iron that when you
Yep.
hit it you can't replicate that anywhere else. And most, to your point, most clubs or most manufacturers don't have that option for the 15 handicap, and we wanted to build one for them.
Yeah. It's awesome.
Jason, if people are listening to this, they've enjoyed it and they're curious, they want to learn more, they want to get fit, they want to learn more about Sub 70 in general, where's the best place for them to go?
Yeah, just start with the website at sub70.com. And, my contact info is there. The guys at the office can help. Social media, reach out to us on Instagram with questions or X. We're always around. We're always up. The phone's on us all the time. So we're easy to get a hold of. And, if anything pops up, we're ones if we do this with that, that's what we're here for. Reach out and we're glad to help them.
And I'll agree, I can attest to that. I'm a customer as long as being as well as being a fan of the brand. You guys do an excellent job. If anybody's curious, engage with them. Try the product out. You will not be disappointed. Jason, thank you so much for joining us. I think our audience got a lot out of this. I got a lot out of this. I really enjoyed the conversation.
Thank you for having me. Anytime you guys want to do this, I love this conversation. So, I'll be ready for the third go around.
There you go.
Love it.